headlines of this hour on VTV News. National Assembly discusses tax cuts for media to support digital transformation. And key agricultural exports break records. In our world news, Gaza peace talks gain momentum after Lebanon's ceasefire agreement.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyền Trân with the top stories. On Thursday morning, the National Assembly discussed the draft amendments to the corporate income tax law. More in the following story.
One of the key issues that was discussed during the National Assembly meeting was the proposal to reduce the corporate income tax rate for media organizations.
In the face of fierce competition from digital platforms like Google and Facebook, media outlets are seeing a significant decline in advertising revenue, which is putting many news organizations in a difficult position. Income from unstable sources, such as small advertising contracts, is still subject to corporate income tax without consideration for the unique nature of media operations.
If we only reduce tax for print media to 10%, the number of print publications today is very limited. Media outlets are now operating across multiple platforms, including radio and television, which are no longer linear. Contents can be accessed on platforms like VTVgo and other digital channels. The push for digital transformation is essential, and the media must take the lead. To support this transition, media organizations' revenue sources are crucial. I urge the National Assembly to reduce corporate income tax to 10% for all forms of media.
For media outlets, I also hope the National Assembly will approve a 10% corporate tax rate for both print and other types of media. If the National Assembly agrees, we propose a 10% rate. The government also offers many forms of support for media organizations, such as contracts for media services or advertising placements. For media outlets that are not yet self-sufficient, the state continues to provide funding.
Deputies also suggested offering corporate income tax exemptions for public service units. Public sector organizations that operate under a self-financing mechanism are currently required to pay corporate income tax, which they believe is inappropriate.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính has issued a directive on strengthening credit management for 2024, providing key instructions to the State Bank of Vietnam. The directive requires the State Bank to monitor global and regional economic developments closely and respond with timely, effective policies. It calls for decisive measures in managing interest rates, exchange rates, credit growth, open market operations, and money supply. The plan emphasizes balanced money injection and withdrawal, implemented in a synchronized, flexible, and stable way to avoid sudden changes that could strain banking system liquidity. Additionally, the directive aims to reduce lending rates in line with macroeconomic conditions and inflation, ensuring sufficient capital flows for economic activities, particularly to help citizens and businesses recover from Typhoon Yagi. Now, after a year of construction, Long Thanh Airport's terminal, runway, and control tower have made significant progress, with major structures beginning to take shape. Spanning 5,000 hectares in Dong Nai province, Long Thanh is expected to become the largest airport in Vietnam. More than 5,000 workers and machinery have been working round the clock to ensure timely completion.
Currently, Long Thanh Airport's facilities, including the cargo terminal, aviation logistics area, warehouses, aircraft cleaning station, aircraft maintenance area, and in-flight catering complex, are being constructed. They're all part of the fourth component, which accounts for more than 90% of the airport project's value. Nearly 5,000 engineers, workers, and more than 6,500 pieces of equipment and machinery have been deployed at the construction site to complete the project on schedule.
The construction of the airport runways has reached 80% completion. They are expected to be completed and put into operation by April 30, 2025.
The core structures of the airport station have been completed. Now we are progressing on the steel frame for the terminal's 3 wings, with completion of the main roof structure expected by the end of this year.
To ensure efficient and safe operations, the government has proposed constructing a second runway at Long Thanh International Airport. The Airports Corporation of Vietnam will fund this second runway using its own resources.
Additional runways will increase the airport's capacity by about 15%. The total investment for the second runway is estimated at nearly $140 million USD, and our financial resources are available.
The Ministry of Transport has expedited the construction of 4 highways and 3 railway lines connecting to Long Thanh Airport. The first phase is set to begin operations in 2026, with a capacity to handle 25 million passengers and 1.5 million tons of cargo annually.
According to recruitment consultancy Robert Walters' 2025 salary survey, 82% of companies in Vietnam plan to increase salaries in 2025. The survey also reveals that 76% of employers will focus on enhancing their talent acquisition strategies through competitive bonus schemes. Additionally, 67% will invest in comprehensive training and development programs to support employee growth. Now, although textile and garment exports have seen a promising growth, the value per order remains low, and trade barriers are rising for the textile and garment industry. Consequently, businesses must adapt their production methods to remain competitive in the evolving market.
This is the first 3D research and design center established by a European fashion brand. Thanks to this facility, the company has moved from waiting for orders to proactively managing design and production.
Designing in 3D means customers can directly view the product and make choices based on their specific needs. As a result, we can offer more products, which drives higher revenue.
A steady domestic supply of raw materials and a closed-loop, sustainable production process are essential for adding value to products. Major supply chain partners now consider this a key requirement.
For a business to be part of Decathlon's global supply chain, it must meet our supplier evaluation standards. We encourage factories to become self-reliant, increasing competitiveness through quality, price, and sustainable practices.
Various large markets are imposing technical, environmental, and social responsibility trade barriers, which are increasing compliance costs.
The tariffs applied could increase garment prices by around 20.6%. Vietnamese textile companies need to focus on improving product structures, prioritizing the development of high-value added products, and applying advanced quality management standards that are environmentally friendly.
Vietnamese-made textile products consistently rank among the top in export markets. Companies are encouraged to form alliances and collaborate on specific product lines or production stages within the supply chain to increase export value.
The export turnover of agricultural, forestry, and fisheries products in November reached an estimated $5.3 billion US, and this brought the total export value for the first 11 months of 2024 to nearly $57 billion US, a 90% increase compared to the same period last year. Specifically, agricultural exports led the way at nearly $30 billion US, up 23%. While fisheries exports surpassed $9 billion US, up 12%. And forestry exports generated nearly $16 billion US, up almost 20%. Notably, 7 commodities achieved a surplus of over $1 billion US, including wood and wood products, fruits and vegetables, coffee, rice, shrimp, catfish, and pepper. Vietnam's agricultural exports are setting new records, with total export turnover targeted at $60 to $62 billion US. Major agricultural products across the board have shown significant growth, particularly fruits and coffee, which have made substantial contributions to the sector's total export value.
Although durian's peak season has ended, Vietnam continues to export off-season durian, which now accounts for 50% of the country's total fruit export value. It is expected that durian exports could reach $3.5 billion by the end of the year.
More than 90% of our durian exports go to China. I'm confident that next year we will break new records with new products, such as frozen durian, coconuts, and pomelos.
Coming from Vietnam into the UK, we've had a huge amount of dragon fruits and also durian fruits last year for the first time. So we know that Vietnam is already meeting the standards that the UK requires to export to the UK. It's just about marketing these products and also making sure the branding of the products really works for UK consumers.
This company has maintained a stable annual export volume of around 60,000 tons of coffee, but its revenue has grown by 40% in 2024 due to higher prices. In addition to its main European market, the company has successfully expanded into new markets.
Countries like Indonesia and those in the Middle East have increased their coffee imports from Vietnam. We focus on producing high-quality products and expect to see a 25% sales growth by 2025.
Coffee exports are expected to reach $6 billion in 2024. Additionally, the EU's new law banning imports of agricultural products linked to deforestation, the EUDR, has driven Vietnam's coffee sector to focus on producing high-quality and sustainable coffee.
Vietnam is one of the first countries to achieve transparency in traceability. With the EUDR in place, Vietnam has an advantage in proving that our coffee is not at risk.
Other key agricultural products, such as rice and cashews, have also experienced unprecedented growth. As the year draws to a close, the agricultural sector is set to accelerate its efforts to meet the ambitious goal of reaching $60 billion in export value.
And before moving on to some other news, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate for today, November 28th. Coming up next on VTV News. Soldiers support cleanup of schools as floodwaters recede. And Mobile Nature Center engages communities in wildlife conservation. Severe flooding caused by prolonged heavy rains has submerged low-lying areas in Thừa Thiên Huế province in recent days, forcing dozens of schools to close. And as floodwaters recede gradually, soldiers and militia forces have been deployed to support flood-affected schools in cleanup efforts and also prepare for students' return after several days of closures.
As of Thursday, floodwaters have receded gradually, but students in Quang Phuoc Commune, Quang Dien District, remain unable to attend school due to flooding. More than 30 soldiers and militia were deployed to help teachers at Ngo Thế Lân Secondary School remove mud and solid waste and clean school facilities to prepare for students' return.
Academic activities have been disrupted as the school is affected by floods. The soldiers are helping us clean and disinfect school facilities and equipment.
Soldiers and militia forces have worked diligently with teachers to clear mud from classrooms, clean teaching supplies and equipment.
Cleanup must be carried out immediately as floodwaters recede. The military command of Quang Dien District had worked with local authorities to provide support for flood-affected schools and kindergartens.
Additional soldiers have been deployed to flood-affected areas to assist in recovery efforts and support residents in cleaning up after the flood.
Vietnam is recognized as one of the 14 countries with the world's richest biodiversity. However, it is also a global hotspot for illegal wildlife trade. And to protect endangered species, Save Vietnam's Wildlife has established a mobile nature center in Hanoi to raise public awareness about the importance of nature and wildlife conservation.
The Mobile Nature Center consists of 3 buses fitted with insulation, soundproofing, and audio-visual systems. With its modern technology, the center aims to enhance the visitor experience by immersing people in the fascinating world of wild animals.
Many endangered animals are on the brink of extinction due to habitat destruction and poaching. Therefore, we call on people to take drastic actions to preserve biodiversity in Vietnam.
The 3 buses are expected to create a natural sanctuary in the heart of the capital city.
A wonderful way of getting out into the community and engaging people in the wildlife preservation issues. And not just community, but also schools and universities. This is a chance for people to come and find out about the issues, find out what's happening, and learn about what they can do.
The Mobile Nature Center will be put in operation in January 2025, with this campaign launching at 54 locations in Hanoi, mainly at schools, shopping centers, public areas, pedestrian streets, and parks.
Deputy Prime Minister Lê Thành Long has signed the decision to recognize the mausoleum and memorial site of Hải tượng Lãn Ông Lê Hữu Trác as a special national relic. And the timing of this recognition is particularly meaningful, as 2024 marks the 300th anniversary of the birth of Hải tượng Lãn Ông Lê Hữu Trác, 1724 to 2024. He hailed from a prestigious scholarly family known for producing high-ranking officials during the Lê Trịnh dynasty and was one of Vietnam's greatest physicians. And in 2023, UNESCO recognized his immense contributions by honoring him as a world cultural figure. This acknowledgement adds profound meaning to the 300th anniversary celebration, symbolizing a milestone in preserving and promoting his cultural and historical legacy in Hà Tĩnh and across Vietnam. To date, Hà Tĩnh has 3 special national relics: the memorial site of great poet Nguyễn Du, the Đồng Lộc T Junction on the legendary Ho Chi Minh Trail, and now the mausoleum and memorial site of Hải tượng Lãn Ông Lê Hữu Trác. Many cultural and artistic events have been planned for the 10th Đà Lạt Flower Festival, which will take place in the Central Highlands province of Lâm Đồng from December 5th to 31st. The wild sunflower has been chosen as the festival's symbolic flower, painting the local landscape in a vibrant yellow and bringing a sense of freshness and vitality. 10 main programs will be held, including artistic performances and exchanges, an international conference on developing green tourism, an OCOP product exhibition, and a street parade showcasing flowers and fashion. The festival will feature a modern blend of traditional art and cutting-edge technology through innovative stage designs. And unlike previous years, the 2024 Flower Festival is funded by contributions from enterprises, organizations, and individuals rather than the state budget. Districts and cities across the province will host complementary programs, including music festivals, marathons, and cultural and sporting events. This year's festival is expected to boost tourism in the region during the year-end season. Now, in July, Vietnam's spring rolls earned recognition as one of the world's most enticing snacks by the culinary site Taste Alice. Not only popular in Vietnam, these rolls have recently become a culinary craze in Malaysia. It's not uncommon to see long lines of people waiting to buy Vietnamese spring rolls, labeled Vietnam rolls, at shops. And what makes these Vietnamese spring rolls so irresistible to local diners in Malaysia? And let's explore some of the popular Vietnamese spring roll shops in Malaysia.
At 3:30 p.m., Hamizan and Syahira, a young Malaysian couple, begin setting up their mobile spring roll shop at Timurlo Market, located over 100 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur. Customers start arriving 15 minutes earlier, forming a long queue. The shop consists of just 2 tables joined together, displaying plastic containers filled with pre-made spring rolls, primarily for takeout, and operates for only 1 hour a day. For the past 6 months, this couple has consistently sold around 1,000 rolls daily.
We've never been to Vietnam. The idea came to me after I accidentally watched a tutorial video on making Vietnamese spring rolls by a Vietnamese YouTuber. At first glance, it seemed very simple, but I failed quite a few times, especially when it came to rolling them neatly without breaking. Eventually, I discovered that dipping the rice paper in water makes it easier to roll tightly and beautifully.
Traditional Vietnamese spring rolls often use pork as their main filling. However, since most Malaysians follow Islam, Gilan Kahaya from Kelantan creatively adapted the recipe to better suit local tastes.
We've expanded to 12 varieties because many people don't eat pork. I've replaced it with fillings like beef, chicken, crab sticks, salmon, and smoked duck, paired with lettuce, cucumber, and sohun.
Because we don't eat fish sauce, I created 2 types of dipping sauces. One is a Thai-style sauce with a sour, sweet, and spicy flavor. The other is a green sauce, offering a creamy and spicy taste.
4 rolls with customizable fillings cost 13 ringgit, and adding sauce costs just 2 ringgit more. Convenient and reasonably priced, Vietnamese spring rolls have become a popular lunch choice for young people in Malaysia.
I eat Vietnamese spring rolls 3 times a week. The rolls include various fresh greens, making them a light, nutritious dish that aligns perfectly with the modern lifestyle young Malaysians like us are pursuing. I really hope to visit Vietnam someday to experience more of its delicious cuisine.
Simply searching the keywords Vietnam roll on TikTok reveals countless videos of young Malaysians sharing their experiences with this Vietnamese dish. This not only helps promote Vietnamese cuisine, but also serves as a cultural bridge between the 2 nations.
Coming up next in our world news. Gaza peace talks gain momentum after Lebanon's ceasefire agreement. Russia and Germany diplomatic tensions escalate. Now moving on to our world news, a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah took effect before dawn on Wednesday, raising hopes of a swift end to the conflict in Gaza. And at a meeting in Cairo that day, Egyptian President El-Sisi and Jordan's King Abdullah II called for unimpeded humanitarian aid access for the 2.3 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan also announced that the United States would renew efforts toward a Gaza ceasefire. Meanwhile, a senior Hamas official reported that Hamas has notified mediators in Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey of its readiness for both a ceasefire agreement and a substantial prisoner exchange deal. Thousands of people displaced from southern Lebanon have begun returning home after a ceasefire between Israel and the Lebanese militia Hezbollah took effect on Wednesday, amid fears on both sides of the border about whether the truce would hold.
Assad Bizi and his family returned to their hometown Zibkin in Tyre district, hours after the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah came into effect. Their home was completely destroyed on September 23rd, following an Israeli strike, and they had to flee to the northern part of the country.
I was born before 2006, but I spent my childhood here in this house that carries all my memories. My whole life was spent in this house, and we had a balcony. We used to live in the 3rd floor. I used to be so proud of this balcony that used to overlook the whole area.
Just last week, Megdad was afraid of giving birth to her unborn daughter hundreds of miles away from her mother. Hours after the ceasefire announcement between Israel and Hezbollah, she is now packing her belongings ready to return to Lebanon.
We are still fearful, and we are mindful of everything. God willing, nothing will happen. We hope to return to the safety we lived in, but of course I still have fear that something will happen and we will go back to carrying our clothes, our belongings, our children, and shelter somewhere else.
The 60-day staged withdrawal, in which Israel will pull out of southern Lebanon and Hezbollah will move its fighters and heavy weaponry north of the Litani River, is designed to broker a permanent end to 14 months of fighting. It will be monitored by a US-led supervisory mechanism that will mediate on infringements.
Russia announced Wednesday it would expel a correspondent and cameraman from Germany's ARD network in retaliation for German actions against journalists from Russia's Channel 1. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova stated that the two ARD staff members must surrender their accreditation documents and leave Russia. She indicated that Russia would consider issuing accreditation to new ARD employees only after Germany restores working conditions for Russian journalists and allows Channel 1's office to resume operations. Earlier that day, Russian media reported that German authorities were closing Channel 1's Berlin office, requiring the channel's correspondent and cameraman to leave Germany by early December. German authorities cited the channel as posing a threat to Germany's and the European Union's public order and security. 53 cars crashed into each other on an icy road in Wonju, Gangwon province, injuring at least 11 people as record-breaking snowfall hit the country on Wednesday. The multi-vehicle crash occurred at around 5:50 p.m. local time, and it began when a Martis compact car skidded to a halt on a downhill stretch of highway. Due to the icy conditions, subsequent vehicles were unable to stop and crashed in a chain reaction. Authorities believe black ice was the primary cause of the accident after reviewing closed-circuit television footage and witness reports. The police are still investigating the exact cause of the incident, and Seoul has recorded its heaviest November snowfall since records began over a century ago in 1907. The capital was covered with at least 16 centimeters of snow on Wednesday, beating the city's previous record of 12.4 centimeters from November 1972. And as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.